and we welcome you all in to a incredibly slow news week of catching up with Coach. I am your co-host for the afternoon, Coach Trey. That is Russo with a open door to his hallway because he is, I suspect, expecting a guest here at any moment to making a guest appearance or something. No,
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 no.
no,
House to myself for a little bit. Shout out, Katie.
no. Shout out. The amount of things that we really could talk about this afternoon, really, to be completely straight with you, could be quantifiable. We could easily go down the list of games this week. To be completely real with you, we're just not. I mean, we're gonna go over like 10,000 foot view. I mean, we're gonna maybe gloss over Vanderbilt, Texas. We can go over Georgia, Florida. I actually have a pretty interesting angle in that game. And then, I mean, we can look at Oklahoma, Tennessee. Really and truly, none of it's going to matter as much as the LSU coaching search right now. Florida in one as well, Penn State in one as well. And it is an incredibly busy time. Dude, I'm exhausted. like
That
I
time of the year, for
I
sure.
am I am burning the candle at both ends. I'm literally exhausted. I'm running myself rampant. I've I've been I've been incredibly busy at my regular 9 to 5, much less taking phone calls throughout the day. Did you hear? What are you hearing? Can we get, you know, like the text messages for, I mean, dude, I've got probably half a dozen doctors that text me all day about because they have too much to do to pander on the message boards and whatnot, because we certainly don't pander message boards, but literally everyone in every space of every work and every, aspect of life is talking about it. I mean, dude, I walked to the mailbox literally on Tuesday afternoon. I literally get home from work in my uniform, shirt halfway tucked in, like obviously ready to just walk into my house after a long day. And I'm met at the mailbox by my neighbor, who is not even remotely close to a college football fan. First thing the dude says is, so what are we gonna do for the coach? And I'm like, man, do you like everyone's asking everyone, like we're all asking our friends, like, what do you think we're gonna do? Because that's all I do. I just ask my people, like, what do y'all think? Give me something to talk about on this show, because there's so many different ways we could go into it. Sean with the cap emoji, bro. I assure you, my text messages of what everyone wants to say or not cap. However, I will say the amount of people that actually think that there's a possibility that Ed Ogeron could be rehired by the university is haunting. That is not happening. And I don't care what happens. That's not going to be one of the things. Shout out to Coach Ed for the greatest college football team that's ever been assembled. But his time in Death Valley is over as the head coach. But what are your thoughts now that you've had a few days to sit on it, mull over it? Where do we where do we stand for you?
Uh, it was an emotional time. I guess we had an emergency pod, right? So like, you had to take some time to relax and think about things. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't feel necessarily great about the situation, just because I think there's not many big names out there, right? Uh, and I just don't feel like I feel like we're gonna get someone new that's like not a big name. That's just kind of where I'm at right now, you know. And then now, obviously, our governor is not helping things uh, with his comments on the AD, and just a lot of drama going on. So I would say I feel okay. Obviously, we were hoping for Nick Saban. I don't think that's very realistic, but he's definitely the first call, right? I mean, I think that's true, but I think the realistic perspective, that's just maybe more of the fandom. I don't think he. I mean, I don't know. We're here. We're live. Let's go over it. I've actually got the odds pulled up right now. I don't know if you discussed that on the show. I don't think you did,
I
but
did
I've got.
not bring up the odds at that time. It felt kind of
Yeah.
non-helpful.
So yeah, how does it feel to officially fire LSU coach as a
And
state
I
back?
will, dude, and I will say, I mean, we could bring it up. I have very little desire to get political on this show. I'm not.
Right.
We
Yeah.
haven't
Same.
been before. We're not going to do it now. But anytime a governor wants to come in and get involved in, certain aspects, I think what he is trying to say is rooted in good faith. It's the way that he goes about it, and his messaging of the situation leaves a lot to be desired. And if if you can read between the lines, there is certainly a legally under, and again, I am not an attorney. There is a legal understanding that if something were to go awry, that the university would be on the hook to have to pay the money, which in essence is obviously an arm of the state taxpayers. I will say I am in favor of a contract metric in which you need to perform in order to get the money. But again, that's me though. Like I'm in sales for a living. Like I am incentivized by, like I tell my people all the time. Like I tell my coworkers, teammates, it's like on our message statement, there are no roadblocks along the extra mile. And it's super, cheesy, but it's real. Like if you really want to make that extra, little bit, then you get to go to one more office, one more call. Like you get to go and have, one more, you know, one more conversation in your day. Maybe it's an adjacent medicine for me that you don't typically go and see. You're in and out of your offices, half a dozen of them a day. Maybe you go to 7 or 8. Like maybe you wake up early and you skip the gym, or maybe you go to the gym an hour early, get on the road, make an extra call. Like, but that's not a football coach. Now, I will say there's a really good argument. I wish that I could find it. It was on Twitter, and someone in essence said, why are football players allowed to have these contracts almost like I ironically, as soon as they get to the league, and of course at NIL there are deliverables that have to be met in order for you to get your money. Why are coaches treated any different? Why do you just get to have the reason for that is because there is a more sought after desire for coaches. There are more student athletes than there are head football coaches. These contracts are not, I mean, they're crazily high for coordinators at this point, but a really well-paid coordinator is making the same as an AD. So I guess what my point is that what he's trying to say is there is no reason why a head coach should be demanded $70 million or 40 or 50 or 30 or 20 or whatever to just go away and not coach. Well, when you are asking someone to leave a job that they like, then you have to overpay for that, and you overpay for talent. So in the world of getting to this kind of landscape in college football, brother, you're going to have to go and offer Lane an 8-year, you know, however $1 million, $11 or $12 million a year contract for him to coach for you. And if you are going to go and get, and I'm just giving you an example since you don't want to do the Nick Saban example, let's just toss out one that is maybe an older fella that they could offer a contract to, who is already extended and is not an option. I'm just telling you, an older fella who's 65 years old is a head coach that would win, and that's Curt Cignetti. Would you go and offer Curt Cignetti a 5-year, $15 million a year contract? Like, would you go and offer Nick a 20 a year, 4-year contract? Like, and call it 45, 55 million is guaranteed, 60 million is guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's it's not it's not stupid what he's trying to say. It's stupid how he's saying it. And so that's what I think I mean, Sean's trying to say it here, and I actually respect Peter Burns a lot. As a matter of fact, PB, if you hear this, brother, listen, I would have you on the show tomorrow. I would, dude, just like know of our existence, please. I actually liked the hot take Peter Burns tweeted about where you have a low base salary, but if you actually perform, you make more money on the season than the current rates. Now, listen, that is what we're saying. And I'm going to give Russo the floor. I've kind of gone long-winded with this because I've actually had an interesting idea. What if, Russo, and tell me what you think. For example, what do you think about the actual desire of the coach? I am under the understanding of, despite whatever homeboy is saying, despite whatever the governor is saying of any state, we could be in Delaware for all that matters. Despite what the governor is saying, you don't report to the governor. You report to the AD. I have an opinion that you as a head coach would be a little bit more not worried, but you would at least have further questions and you would want to demand answers to who your immediate boss may be, rather than a governor that likes to go out on, YouTube and Twitter, because you already know that governors don't always last for, forever. He could easily get reelected. He could easily be out. However, if the new president comes in and you have these negotiations in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from now, we will know who the new Louisiana State University president is going to be. And there's a very, very strong sense that who it'll be, someone, likely already at another university in state, maybe 2 hours down south, who knows. And it makes a little bit more sense to me that those things can get ironed out and give you a little bit better of an idea of what exactly the head coach could be looking for. I just have a difficult time believing that that's going to warrant an agent to not go and still try to extract as much money from LSU as possible. You mean to tell me that you don't think that, I mean, give me any agent you want. I don't even care if it's an up and coming agent that has like his job to lose if this contract goes through. Jimmy Sexton is not going to not intervene with or rather not be interested in the LSU job for Lane just because the governor came out and said something. And here's the best part, and then I'm going to give you the floor. What the governor said is said behind closed doors. The only reason why we're talking about it is because he said it in an interview where it wasn't even meant to be a football interview. There was just a sports reporter there at the time, one, and he got one question asked about it. These things are said behind closed doors. The argument is maybe you shouldn't say it in front of the camera. Maybe you should just keep it to yourself. But my point is the head coaches deal with that anyway. They already know that. You mean to tell me this? You think this is the first time that a football coach and a governor didn't get along? No. That's
Right.
That's not reality, and it's just aggravating because it's your university. It's my university. Like I donate. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, it's frustrating. Obviously, like I said, we look at politics. We don't like politics in sports, so especially college football. So it was frustrating. Whatever you believe in politics, it was frustrating. Like I said, I do think that money talks, right? And I think even with his statements about incentive-based contracts, you're still going to have to pay a big number, and you can still guarantee a lot of money. But you can also you can kind of strike a balance of both, right? You don't have to necessarily front load the whole damn thing, but you can definitely strike a balance compared to what it's been. So I think money still talks. You just go through the contracts, like you said, like with Nick, you'd probably have to offer like 4 years, $100 million, right? Like I don't even think 80 is enough. I think you've got to offer him $100 million. I think $100 million is probably going to be the number. It just depends on the amount of years you have. Like someone like Lane Kiffin, you could probably get like a 7-year contract for that amount. What does that equate to, like 16 or 17? Maybe not that high, but like you're going to have to overpay if you want someone like Lane Kiffin, because I just don't see the incentive. Now that I've sat on it, I just don't see the incentive of him leaving Ole Miss.
Dude, this is so
I really
fire.
don't.
This is so funny. I'm gonna go back and watch this episode. I just scanned the screen for the raise my hand feature because I thought I was in Teams on a meeting. Dude, I
Trying to
like was
interject, dude.
looking for like wanting to go next.
Yeah.
It is likely going to take something stupid like that. But so okay, so here's my point. Comment in the chat for all of you that are here listening. For those of you on delay, leave a comment on YouTube, which by the way, y'all are killing it with the subscribes. We've been growing rapidly. We've had over over 24 in the last week and a half. Y'all are sick. But leave us some comments. The comments actually helps the like the posturing of the videos when we post. If you're out of town and you miss one, when you open the YouTube app back up, it'll posture us up there around what you typically watch on YouTube, depending on how much more you interact with us, not just searching for us, but actually interacting with the video. Just fun fact. But so what's your thoughts? So again, this is not what do you want? This is like what you like. Lane literally already came out to the TV and said he's not doing it for money. Okay.
Yeah,
but you and I both know that's cap. You and I both know that is. Hold on, cap. So, my thoughts.
What do I think is best for the school, or that's what you're asking?
What do you think they ultimately do? Because the way, okay, so to be candid, okay. If he or whoever they decide to hire, if there is no desire to have a money-ridden contract that is guaranteed in money, you aren't going to have a tier 1 coach get hired. But there is exactly one, maybe two people that I think that would do it, that would effectively, to me, be considered tier 1. I think you could get Drink to do it. Because that is he's early 40s, done everything, and has squeezed the last bit of orange juice out of that orange over at Missouri. You've already got
players, by the way. Like he's gotten Luther
his
Burden, Ahmad Hart. Like he's gotten some good players over there.
On the show, I referenced, because I'm going to ask your opinion, I referenced his eye for coaching talent. Dude, Kirby Moore is lighting folks up on the offensive side of the football, brother. Like Blake Baker is gone from LSU. He goes and takes them in. They're better, like over double better in 2 years. Granted, can you make the argument that the running quarterback has been Blake Baker's biggest thing? Yeah, well, he's an aggressive play caller. But I think that you have to look at the full picture. There must be something to be said for how much help does the other side of the ball give you? And we already know that in the games that they are not performing in, the defense is either on the field the full game because they don't have the help of the offense, or his offense on the other end is so good that they're also scoring and his defense is right back on the field. So when you have the Jaden Daniels and Missouri game, brother, Missouri was on the offensive side of the football scoring in like 4 minutes. Like, and last year and in this year, you're still on the field all the time. And I am not excusing it. It's a problem. It is a problem. But there are ways to get past that because there have been holes in the system, for forever. Like when Ohio State went and played Georgia, whenever it was like, I don't know, was it like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and everyone knew that it was going to be, Georgia was just going to whip their ass. It was going to be a mopping of Georgia, bruh. And Ohio State walked up in that hoe and tossed it. And I mean, just tossed the ball left, right, up your donkey and onto the sidelines. They threw the freaking ball in every way you could throw it. Lateral, sideways, over the top, the little Patrick Mahomes Mohawk sidearm. Dude, they did all that crazy foolishness. Everyone has holes in their game plan. What was Georgia's hole in their game plan that year? They had 0 linebackers that were fast. 0. I believe that was 2018. I believe that it was. I don't know for sure. It may have been 20. It may have even been 2020. I don't know. What am I saying? you've already got the coordinator that Eli would want to have here. So in the event that you want to save money and go, can you lure someone to a so much better job? That to me is a coach and an example of an idea that you can go. You can go and get John Summerall. However, I do think it would be a political suicide if you go and pull a New Orleans-based football coach that's giving that team breath of life and bring them to Baton Rouge. So I have a strong desire that you could do that. But if you're going to go and do that, in your opinion, if that's the way that they go, if this is how they play it, it has to be incentive based. Who are they getting?
Good minds think alike, right? So, like, if you go down the list, let's just and I'll give you. I'm gonna go down the list, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts behind it, right? So, like, John Summerall is the leading favorite, right? Why? Ties to Louisiana, right? I think, and he's done a great job at Tulane. I think that with the Louisiana link leads him as the favorite. Would I prefer him over Lane Kiffin? No, but John Summerall is definitely a top 5 option, right? So let me table that for a second. Joe Brady's not coming here. I don't understand why that's still a thought here. Unless he's just the biggest poser ever, and it's just, I don't know. There's no link to me that he's leaving the NFL. He's out. Lane Kiffin, if you want my opinion about him, I think he's just going to benefit, and Ole Miss is going to give him whatever he wants. I truly think, they're going to be favored in every game going on. They're going to likely go to the playoffs and possibly win a game or two, and might be in that thing. If you're going to leave, you're going to have to leave during the playoffs, like you said. Brian Kelly left, but awkward spot. Now you're going to possibly leave a national championship level team because they're going to be fighting for a spot in there. Now they could go out and lose in the first round. That's possible, but I think LSU wants to get their guy before then. So I personally think Lane Kiffin's not going to do it. He's on the top of my board. I don't think it's realistically it's going to happen. James Franklin and Kurt Signetti both are not options. I think James Franklin will go elsewhere. Kurt Signetti's not leaving. He just signed a huge contract. Eli Drinkwitz. That's the name. That's the name I'm on right now. I think he's the perfect fit for both a realistic standpoint and more of a favoritism from my standpoint because, like you said, there's links. He's coached with Blake Baker. He's not going to be as expensive. He's only making $9 a year right now, so you probably don't have to offer 14 or 15 million. You can probably go the incentive route, and he's been damn good on the offensive side of the ball. He's got great prospects over at Missouri, and he's just a younger, energetic guy. I think he would, like you said, I loved your part on Tuesday of the fit, right, of the coach. All the mainstream media is going to refer to for Brian Kelly. And you can go watch ESPN, you can go watch SEC Talk, you can go watch whoever. All they're going to say is Brian Kelly did not fit LSU because he went the moment he stepped on the basketball court and said family, bullshit. Excuse my language. It's if you win, it don't matter about where you're from. None of these coaches that won national championships at LSU were LSU Louisiana guys. That bit was great because I'm so sick of hearing that. So if you're going to talk about fits, I will say he's young and energetic. And I think that's no matter where you're from and you win, and he's provided results at Missouri. That's why I would prefer him over someone like John Summerall. John Summerall has done great, but has he done it on the level as Eli Drinkwitz? I would say no, because Eli's gone to the SEC and has had success with a above average level school in the SEC. Let's call them what it is. It's slightly above average as far as programs. If you rank them top to bottom, Missouri's going to be as far as just prestige, right in the middle, right? Is that fair? What he's done with Missouri's talent is impressive. And I would prefer him over Summerall. I think that could be the guy. I think he's being overlooked because he's immediately linked to Florida. He's just he's the favorite. He's minus 105, basically meaning if you bet $10, you're going to basically get $9.90 in return. he's the favorite to land there because I think a lot of fronting is for Lane Kiffin. But I think Eli Drinkwitz should be in the top 3. He's moved up to the top 3 on my board, and I think it's a perfect match. So I think it meets both realism. He's not as expensive. And to me, I think that's the guy. Clark Lee's behind him, and Brent Key. Clark Lee has done a great job at Vanderbilt, but let's just not like you said, let's see what he does without Diego Pavia. Because if you remember, before Diego Pavia, what was his record at Vanderbilt?
That's why I
think
made that comment.
They won two conference games in like 3 years. So like, let's pump the brakes a little bit on Clark Lee. Clark Lee, great, young, energetic. I get it, but the results are not long term and not someone you're going to want to have to pay double digits a year to based on possibly just a really good quarterback bailing him out. Brent Key is also a good option. He's very old school, but like he's a great coach, and he's got Georgia Tech playing hard. My only concern with him is I don't think he leaves, right? Like I think he's got so many ties down there. He's comfortable. The ACC, it can be Georgia Tech. They can be in the top 3 in the conference,
dude,
every year now, given everything going on with Clemson's failures and Miami being at the top, and then it's just I don't think he leaves. I don't think he's interested in the job. And then Urban Meyer, Jimbo Fisher, Jeff Brom, like Jimbo's not. We don't want Jimbo, right?
Jeff Brom's an interesting one.
Jeff Brom's interesting. Marcus Freeman's on the list.
Marcus Freeman's interesting too, man. I just think he hasn't made the shade.
Yeah. I think, and look, everyone and the LSU media is 100% on Kelvin Shepherd. They're on Kelvin Shepherd. They're on Joe Brady. And I get it. I just
there's only one of those realistic, and it's barely realistic at this.
It's barely realistic. And why would you leave if you're doing so good in the NFL? Why would you?
Right.
Why wouldn't you possibly stay another year or two? You're the Lions. You can possibly get a head coach job there. The thing you have to realize with LSU, which is a negative on who wants to come here, right? Obviously, the money is a pro. You're going to get a lot of money. It's a very prestigious school. However, the script is out. If you go 4 years and you're mediocre, you're out. That seems to be the unfortunate expectation. Now, Brian Kelly, obviously, there might have been an exception. If you perform, if you make playoffs, you're fine. But if you miss the playoffs 4 straight years with these with these talented rosters, with the amount of money you're spending, that's the only problem. The expectations are just super high. You gotta think about that as a coach. Like, the money sounds great, but if you're especially doing an incentive-based contract, that is why I was a little upset with the comments, because that scares people away. Guaranteed money is guaranteed money.
You can miss the playoffs for 4 years at Ole Miss.
That's what I'm saying. Ole Miss.
You can't do it at LSU.
Yeah. That's why Lane Kiffin's not leaving. I don't think he is. I truly don't think he is. And if he gets to LSU, it will be a humongous offer that I don't even know if I'll be comfortable with it, because it'll have to be a lot of money. You're going to have to pay $15 a year, and that's absurd. That's all I've got to say.
Do you want to know why people from Louisiana would be willing to do it?
Go on.
Imagine Lane Kiffin getting the ball to Louisiana wide receivers.
I'm with you. Lane Kiffin's my number one choice, dude. I wanted them in 2020 or 4 years ago.
And I did,
dude.
I know.
The offensive mind, man. He's sick. Even if you have a good offense, I know it was unfortunate when you had the Jaden Daniels year where the defense was trash, but the year was at least fun to watch, right? It wasn't miserable like this year where you were only putting up 18 to 24 a game, not complimentary for like at least when you have a great offense, it's somewhat enjoyable to watch.
That's right.
This year's been miserable. So like worst case scenario, if you have as atrocious of a defense as you have, prior to Blake Baker coming in, at least you'll have a good offense. You'll never have to doubt the offense with Lane Kiffin. I'm with you. I agree. I think 15 a year, I would hope they would offer that to him. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how the contract details are going to work. Lane Kiffin's my number one. I just personally don't think he's going to leave. I think Ole Miss, like you said, you can go 9-3 every year, and you're fine over there, and you're gonna make a lot of money, and you're gonna have a good time because they give you whatever you want. But if you do that at LSU, you're possibly on the hot seat by year 4. And
So,
yeah,
you're not wrong, but didn't we just have a discussion a month ago about 9-3s are going to get are about to get ready to start making it into the playoff? And that's before they expand.
that's true.
That's before they
That's
expand, by the way. The 12-team
That's
playoff
true.
does have a possibility of seeing 9-3 get in. So that's an even
Not as often right now until it expands again.
No.
When it expands again,
No.
now expectations move a little bit more.
No.
And that's fine. Like I think at that point, 9-3 does get you in the playoffs when you expand more. And it's fine. So like 9-3 could be good in a couple of years. Like it'll be great in a couple of years. You want to go 9-3. I think you're automatically in the playoffs as LSU if you go 9-3. Once they expand.
And that is the point that you can make to either one, though, right? Why would you want to leave if you can just go be Ole Miss and go 9-3? But the reality is you're not about to have the schedule like you've had at Ole Miss to be able to just go 9-3. You're not about
now
to
you
have
got an extra SEC game.
Now, yeah. So now that everyone is able to play ball, and now that everyone is having to do this whole entire schedule, you're not going to have, LSU being the one that goes on the road to play, USC or Clemson or whatever the case, and Ole Miss in Alabama play Duke in the Citadel. You're going to have a little bit of it's going to be a mix up. So it's at some point going to be, how much can I get out of my university to have the best program that I can have each and every year so that I can field the team with money and coach them to success. Now, you have a great point, and I don't disagree, brother. With every passing day, I think about it this way. So hear my heart for a second. If you're Lane Kiffin and you're Ole Miss, with every day that he doesn't sign an extension, do you not get a little bit more nervous as an Ole Miss fan? But at the same point for LSU, for every day that you don't go and get somebody, the insecure fan will say, well, we're just obviously not going to get anyone because they haven't come over here yet. Well, the reality is that they're not going to say yes if there is a chance that they can make it into the playoffs. They may get to the playoffs and then start having the discussions with the agents and then start saying, look, we can start like looking at how this is going to be. And whenever it happens, it happens. And whatever the outcome is, I'm going to leave this program in better shape that I found it in. And that's obviously winning or losing in the college football playoff. However, there is going to come a point, which, Casey brought up a couple episodes ago or Tuesday rather on Catching Up with Coach. If you get to the third week in December and or second week in December and you still haven't hired anybody, at what point do you as LSU get worried about, getting left at the dance? And you're you know what I'm saying? Like, so at that point, do you ask Frank Wilson to go and to just go and be the interim until the signing period's over? And then you go and get a coach in February? Like, what are you ultimately willing to do? And I don't think it'll get that far. I do think that LSU would likely pivot to their B tier at that point. And here it is, Russo. This just in. A B tier coach can do really well here. You know what I'm saying? Like a B tier coach can do really, really well here. A young, hungry, motivated fella. I don't know where you fall on that mindset, but it's difficult, but it's not impossible. So for those of you that think that just because he's going to be in the playoffs, that Lane wouldn't come or anybody else, They could, because it is going to happen at some point. Someone is going to leave their school for
You're right.
another job. It's happening at some point.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think I think my only concern, right? Like I agree. I think if we can get Ole Miss or if we can get Lane Kiffin through the playoff, that'd be great, right? The problem is if he leaves you somewhat hanging and like he doesn't make that decision, then Ford is going to pull the trigger, right? Like they're going to probably go get Eli. Like that's another can. Like that's my problem. Like then you almost have to default to John Summerall, and I'm not saying defaulting to him is bad, but like on my board, I want those two guys. I want Lane Kiffin or I want Eli. And I think Lane's the kind of guy that it would be smart unless you get the absolute number you want. It would be smart to wait as long as you can. And I don't know when that would be because like I don't know once someone pulls the trigger, I think it's a free fall from there. Like guys are gonna start going. It's just when that's going to happen, and I think it's going to be probably in late November. I think like we've got probably 3 weeks, and the last couple of weeks of the season, I think you're going to start seeing people move. And I unfortunately think Eli's going to be the guy that goes to Florida. So you've really got a home run swing on Lane, and if you're Lane, you wait because you either are just going to be very happy with where you are, or you just get an outrageous offer from LSU. Because like LSU at some point might have to sell out. If Lane's the guy, you're gonna have to sell out and get him.
Well, that's also the point too, is that everyone that you're looking to get at this point has a chance to go to the playoff. Just about. I mean, Brett Key does, Eli does, Kenny Dillingham does, Kelvin Shepard's in the NFL, Nick Saban's going to be on the podium for it. Marcus Freeman does, Lane does. Summerall still has available with Tulane. I told you they're playing a tough game this weekend, but UTSA 3-point favorite.
And you had mentioned right before the show started that Dan Lanning has come out and basically dispelled the fact that he's going.
Yeah, as long as they're winning and have money, he ain't leaving.
That is what he said.
He said, if we're winning and as long as we're winning, I'm here. I tell my kids, as long as daddy wins, we're going to be here. And brother, no one's outspending them. No one. I don't know.
I don't think so. Just because I don't think there's enough.
Please go to Penn State.
Penn State would be a good fit for him, honestly.
I mean, Matt Rule just signed an extension, brother. Matt Rule can't.
Matt Rule's out. And Penn State's kind of been lost in this whole process, right? Like Penn State was the premier job because they were the first to pull the trigger and get rid of Franklin, right? But then you had both Florida and LSU follow suit. Penn State's I don't know where Penn State goes from here. Like, does Eli Drinkwitz go up there, right? Why would you leave the SEC to go up there? Penn State's a top 3 school in the Big Ten. So, I mean, like, I just think Eli Drinkwitz gets a job at LSU or Florida. Like, I personally think, like, he could get one of those jobs. Why would you take the Big Ten job? Brian Kelly would actually be a great fit up there, I think. But he's actually the betting favorite to be the coach at Arkansas.
What about Wisconsin?
Perfect school for him. Like I said, those
what
Big
happens
Ten
if Auburn comes open? You don't think that all of a sudden that Drink might not want to go to Auburn?
Yeah, I mean, there's that's a big game this weekend. Because loser could get fired from their job, especially given we've already lost 2 coaches in the SEC. That's a big game this weekend with Auburn.
Where's that?
I'm checking right now. Let me see.
Dude, and
I want to say it's on the road. No, so Auburn's at home. So, yeah, it's going to be Auburn. Both of those teams will be on the hot seat. And look, I think Hugh Freeze should be given more of the doubt because if you look at their schedule, man, they've gotten hosed this season. Like, legitimately hosed. Like, they lost in double overtime against Missouri. They lost to Georgia by 10, where they were ultimately winning that game, and you could argue they got screwed. A&M, they lost by 6. Oklahoma, you can argue they got screwed and they lost by a touchdown. I think it would be unfair for them to fire Hugh Freeze. It's just the market right now.
Is it weird to you that no one has mentioned Josh Heupel?
I just think
at all.
I don't know. It is weird, but at the same time, I don't know.
I thought about it a few minutes ago. Like while we were talking, I was kind of going through my head of like the people who, would make sense. Like they've had more success than you thought that they would have. I mean, are you shocked that Josh has literally not come up and that Freeman is not being talked about enough? Because I genuinely think that we're not talking about Marcus Freeman enough, because I genuinely think that he's got such a good job up there that he does not really desire to do anything else other than be there or Ohio State. And Ryan Day's not leaving anytime soon.
I think you default with Freeman, you default to he's got it good up there. I think a lot of people, and that's why you're not hearing Dan Lanning as much either. I just don't think either of those guys are leaving, right? I think that's why their names aren't being brought up. Heupel's interesting because I think Tennessee's kind of in this like weird spot, right? Like they're kind of exceeding expectations given the excuse my language, crap storm they went through in the offseason last year. So like they're somewhat exceeding expectations. They're 6-2, but they're only 3-2 in the SEC. 2 tough losses. Possibly could make the playoff if they win out. But I mean, you've got Oklahoma, Florida, and Vanderbilt. That's going to be a tough 3-0 stretch there. And that Florida game is on the road. So like you have the benefit of having those 2 games at home against the ranked teams. But then, playing Florida at the Swamp is no joke. Like, I don't care who you are. Ask Texas, but even though I think Texas is fraudulent as well. And we should talk about that game as well before we cap the show off. But I just think they're in a weird spot. I think it's just, in my opinion, it's kind of like Clark Lee. It's just like you don't really hear Clark Lee being brought up a lot, in my opinion, at least from what I've seen. And I just think they're both stuck there. I don't think there's any. Now, could he leave? But like, what job would he leave for? I don't think he'd leave Tennessee for Florida, right?
What if Sark goes to the NFL?
I don't think he is. As an offensive coordinator,
as a head coach.
Dude, you can't win with Arch Manning.
Miami.
Texas is the best job you're going to get. You're not going to see Sark leave Texas for the NFL. Texas is the best job in college football outside. Like, it's them, Ohio State, and then there's like LSU. Like, I don't think he leaves. Personally.
It would throw a wrench into the situation if they did. But I'm willing to talk about these games if you are before we get up out of here. Before we do, though, I want to give a shout out to our folks over at Web Western wearing their angler hat right now. They've got some sick shirts, some stuff coming out that I can't really dive too deep into them, but we've got some new content, some new merch coming out here soon, y'all. Code TREYG10 at checkout. Jackets, they've got hoodies, they've got cowboy hats, they've got 10-gallon, they've got basically anything and everything that you want. If you just want to get yourself a cichlid or a nice tee or a hoodie, go head over to Web Western. Get you a little discount code, and then by all means, tell them Trey and Russo sent you on by. And as it relates to the games this weekend, since we're 45 minutes into the show and haven't really talked about it yet, I would definitely like to gloss over it if you would. So by all means, tell me the slate. Mute.
So to open up the morning, you start at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time with 2 bangers, which, I mean, one's still, I mean, in my opinion, it's still a banger, but Penn State at Ohio State. Ohio State's a 19.5-point favorite. That's interesting. They could easily do that. I mean, Ohio State's been a sneaky number 1, in my opinion. Like, they're not getting a lot of time being talked about, I guess, this dominant team, but like here they are 7-0 as the number 1 team in the country and basically a 3-touchdown favorite. So that game will always be interesting. Then you have Vanderbilt at Texas. Texas is a 3.5-point favorite. Texas has not looked good all year long. They're sitting at 6-2, 3-1 in the SEC. One of those other losses was to the number one team in the country, Ohio State, and it was close. But man, with the way Vanderbilt's been playing, man, it's tough. That game is going to be sick to watch. Like, that's going to be a fun
It's
game.
an 11 a.m. game. That's gas.
11 a.m. game. Opened at 2.5, and it's actually gone in Texas' favor at -3.5. So if you're a big Longhorn fan, you can get that, or you can just bet the -150 on the money line and
anchor down.
I don't know who wins that game. Vanderbilt did not look good on the road against Alabama. And I'm not saying Alabama and Texas are comparable, but that's a very good game. And if Vanderbilt wins that, whew. And if they lose, then we have a bunch of 6 and 7. We have a bunch of 2-loss SEC teams. So that's the 11 o'clock slate. Then you've got Georgia and Florida, which you said you had a sneaky play.
Dude, I think I kind of like Florida to cover
7.5.
Dude, I kind of like Florida to cover that a lot.
Okay.
I kind of like them to cover that a lot.
Be my guest. I would agree. 7.5 is nice.
Dude.
That game's always fun, right? I mean, it's in Jacksonville. Georgia hasn't looked like the Georgia of the last 3 or 4 years, but they're still sitting here at 6-1, and their only losses to Alabama. So, and if you look at their schedule, they only have Florida, Mississippi State, and Texas left as far as the SEC. The only problem is at the end of the season, you got to go face Georgia Tech, who, if you remember, brought them to a multiple overtime game last year, and they're already better this year. So still a tough schedule for them to figure out. So you got Georgia, Florida. South Carolina, Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss is a 12.5-point favorite. That's at home. That's at Ole Miss at 6 o'clock. Lane Kiffin finally gets his night game at home, so good for that. Oklahoma, Tennessee. Tennessee's a 2.5-point favorite. That's an elimination, playoff eliminator right there. So whoever wins that game will keep their chances alive, and whoever loses is likely out of contention. So, that's the SEC slate. I mean, any other teams outside of that? I mean, Notre Dame plays Boston College, but they're a 4-touchdown favorite. And Georgia Tech is a touchdown favorite on the road against NC State at 6:30. And then Cincinnati and Utah is a nice Big 12 playoff eliminator as well. Cincinnati's 7-1, 5-0 in the Big 12. So if they win that game, they'll plant their seed paws into the top 3 of the Big 12. So interesting slate, but as you'll see, our shows are going to be very centered. And happy Halloween to you, man, Dewey. Halloween is tomorrow, so everyone who is celebrating, whoever's into that stuff, definitely have a good night tomorrow. But this show is definitely going to be centered the next couple of months around the head coaching job because, quite frankly, the season's over. And I like your motivation, Trey. Like you were trying to motivate the team to, try and finish 8-4.
I just said it would be nice. I didn't say it would happen. I just said it would be nice.
I truly hope MVB gets to play. I fear he's not. I know. I've been hearing some tea leaves too about that, which is good.
Hey now.
Look, if you're Nuss, to me, you're in a weird spot right now, right? Because you came into the season as the co-Heisman favorite, and now you've tanked your draft stock. You're not getting drafted in the first 2 rounds anymore, right? Is that fair?
They're gonna let him rip it. He's gonna at least have a chance, but I do think he'll likely end up being a little bit more. He'll be basically at I think at least a round better than what he was last year.
I want to get in single back and see Barry get 15 or 16 carries. I don't give a damn.
Say, brother.
And LSU's lose. Dude, he
gonna get him. He gonna get him.
If you want to find the bright spot and the absolute trash performance last week. It is Barry for sure. I hope he gets 15 to 16 touches. I hope you get in single back and just give him that thing. Go the old Les Miles route. Run, pass kick or punt. You know what I'm saying? Like
Little toss dive, dude. You want to see a toss dive?
It can't be worse than Nuss throwing it 3 or 4 yards, which is like on 3rd and 10. You know what I'm saying? Like where there's no chance at 3rd down,
brother. I think they're gonna.
Dude,
I think they're
I'm
gonna open
so
it up.
sick.
Do you?
They better open it up, but it should include Harlan Berry at the front of that because man, he looked very good. And he's what? Isn't he like 17? Isn't he like extremely young?
Harlan
He's a
Berry?
true freshman, right?
Yeah,
he's a true freshman, and I think he classed up. So I want to say he's 17.
I don't know. I don't know that he classed up, but I will. I'm going to bring up a pretty interesting point.
He's 18. Turned 18 in May, which is sick.
Do you remember? Do you remember? The 21st night in September. Do you remember? Do you remember whenever we went on? And I mean this was kind of a heartbreaker, but when Les Miles was out and Ed O came in, do you remember them promoting Steve Ensminger to offensive coordinator and they started throwing the absolute crap out of the ball? They busted Missouri. They busted Texas A&M. They busted Arkansas. Bro, they were beating people up as soon as the offense changed hands. I'm not saying you're gonna, because we already know that the Slinger was by far and away the best play caller that we have seen in our time here at LSU. Listen, I very much believe that the offense is going to look a little different than what you have been seeing in the run and the pass game. Now the run game we already know has had the Alex Atkins footprint for the last few games. I think you'll see some differences here. Just saying. Just my thoughts.
Yeah.
Have a pretty good accord. It's going to look different.
We'll get into that more in next week's episode. 52 or 53 minutes on the dot. Thank you to all that were participating in the chat. We'll do another Bovada play. I will say again, that play was 80% done in the first quarter of the game. I'm so frustrated, and it came down to Xavier Thomas, who didn't even have a catch in the first half, just needed 30 yards. That was a $900 parlay that we would probably split a bunch of money to. I'm not saying we would have split it equally because, like, you boys got to get a couple hundo in there. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we would have definitely given out 50 or 60 bucks to everyone that was in there. So we'll do the same thing maybe this weekend. We'll try and find a spot and take a long shot play, and we'll post it on our Twitter, which is at Russo and Goodwin. So if you react to that post on Twitter, go like it or go repost it, and we will definitely consider you as part of that bet, and we'll split some cash with you if it wins. So that is all from us. Catching up with Coach will be on Tuesday, so always go and watch that. He gives a great breakdown of LSU football, and like I said, there were a ton of bits where probably be posted on our social media pages, just with everything he does. So shout out to him. Go and check that out on Tuesday, and we will see y'all next week.